Now, what I want to do now, I just want to go a little bit deeper. I want you to pay attention to what I am going to say. Right, we have seen Abraham paying tithes for all the people. Right? Then I would also put up the verse where Jacob made a vow. Right? Jacob made a vow to God regarding payment of tithes. But unfortunately, Jacob did not pay any tithes. It's not anywhere in the books, right, that Jacob paid tithes. But his children were given a commandment to pay for the tithes. Right? Tithes in itself was not part of the law, but it became part of the law because Jacob did not pay the tithes. So the children of Israel now had to pay the tithes. Israel is Jacob. Right? So because of his promise, his vow which he had made and did not fulfill, then his children he had to pay for their father. Now let's look at Leviticus 27. Leviticus 27, verses 30-31. Yeah. And all the tithe of the land, whether of the seed, whether of the land, of the fruit of the tree, is for the Lord's. It is holy unto the Lord. And if a man will at all redeem aught of his tithes, he shall add therefore a 50th part thereof. What is happening today? People are being made to pay 10%. But this is cash, right? So what was supposed to happen if it was proper for the payment of tithes? Then people would be paying 12%. Right? 10 plus 2 because it is now cash. Right? But during this time, they were paying in the form of animals, right, or seeds, whatever they could get, right? But they were saying if a man would want to put in cash, then he had to add a 5th. Right? So in this case, we find out that they were entitled to pay 12%. Right? And I want you to note this next verse. It says, these are the commandments which the Lord commanded Moses for the children of Israel in Mount Sinai. Which means Moses did not only get the 10 commandments which people are emphasizing on nowadays. Right? This is part of the commandment. So God made into law the payment of tithes. Right? The reason I'm putting this forward is some people are saying, yes, he paid for Jesus paid for everything. If he had paid for everything, he has paid including the payment of tithes. So if you are in grace, there is no need for you to be paying tithes. Let's go on. We have seen, because of time, the children of Levi were given that as an inheritance. Remember, Levi was paying tithes in the loins of Abraham, right? If he was in the loins of Abraham, which means it is because of Abraham had paid for tithes for him, right? But now they are being exempted from paying tithes based on the inheritance. Remember, there was supposed to be distribution of Israel into 12 tribes, right? But these were not getting. They were not paying the tithes. They were getting the tithes as a benefit, as an inheritance. Right? Which questions those that are getting the tithes today, what inheritance are they getting? Right. Let's also move on to Numbers. I'm just going to pick a very few verses so that it becomes easier. Right, 18:30. Therefore thou shalt say unto them, when you have heaved the best of them, then it shall be counted unto Levites as an increase on the threshold, as an increase of their winepress. I moved a little bit faster. Let me just go back to number 26. Thus speak unto the Levites, and say unto them, when you take of the children of Israel the tithes which I have given you from them for your inheritance, then you shall offer up a heave offering of it for the Lord, even the 10th part of the tithes. Now, I don't know whether you've got this one. What is happening is, let me go down a bit so that it becomes very, very clear. Right. And you shall eat of it in every place, you and your household, for it is your reward for your service in the tabernacle of the congregation. Remember, the children of Levi were the only ones that were entitled to work in the tabernacle. They had no time to go and work in the fields. So their livelihood was based on the workings of the tabernacle, which means they were working in the ark where God was. If you go back to Exodus, when they were being installed, they were given those mandates to actually say, you are supposed to do this work. And if you also go to 28, thus you shall offer a heave offering unto the Lord for all your tithe which you receive of the children of Israel, and you shall give therefore the heave offering to Aaron the priest. Right? What was happening is, like, the people would pay tithes to the Levites. Right? The Levites will collect their tithes, then they removed 10% of their tithes. Then they give it to the children of Aaron. The children of Aaron were Levites. Alright? So what I was saying is, all the children of Levi, they get the tithes, including the children of Aaron. Right? Thereafter, right, they would remove 10% from what they've been given. Then they give that 10% to the priests. Right? The priests were the ones that were keeping the money, or keeping they were keeping the tithes. Right, let me go again to another verse. Deuteronomy 14, 29. And the Levite, because he had no part of inheritance with thee, and the stranger and the fatherless and the widow which are within thy gates shall come, and they shall eat and be satisfied, that the Lord thy God may bless thee in all the work of thine hand which thou hast done. Right? Remember, the Levites were not doing the work of their hands. Right? It is the other people that were working. Right? They were paying the tithes. So this tithes was, after a period of 3 years, it was going to be a welfare thing. They would sit by the gates, give anybody who passes by, the widows and the strangers to get. So this was a welfare system that would cater for those that are underprivileged. Let me just go to another verse. This one is for by Nehemiah. And the priest, the son of Aaron, shall be the Levites. When the Levites take the tithes, the Levites shall bring up the tithes of the tithes unto the house of God, to the chambers, into the treasury house. It's very, very clear. The children of Aaron, which were the priests, would actually take that money, take those tithes, store them in the storehouse. Keep the word this into the house of our God, to the chambers, into the treasure house. So these people were collecting their tithes. After the collection of their tithe, it was being put into the storehouse. The issue of this storehouse is going to come back later, when we deal with Malachi. I just want us to refresh a little bit, to actually say, I want you to understand this. The people were paying their tithes to the Levites. Then the Levites would take 10% of what they had been given. Then it was given to the children of Aaron, who were the priests, placed in the storehouse for a feast that was going to be taken after a year or after 3 years. Right? These feasts were now catering for the other people that are less privileged. Right? So the benefit would actually come back to the people. That's why it was a welfare system. Right? That the 10% which the Levites would give was now for God. It was now given back to the people to benefit. I hope this is clear. Now, let us see the relationship here. We have seen that this was a commandment, and it was a commandment directed by God to the children of Israel. So the payment of tithe was part of the law. Tithe does not encroach into grace. Alright? I think, let me just, for the sake of time, I'll stop here. In the next episode, I'm going to look now at what is being said regarding these tithes in Malachi. Was God happy with the way the tithe was being handled? Right?